Our journey in London begins with a visit of the Royal Botanic Garden. Established in 1759 by Princess Augusta, Kew Gardens not only serve as a park for public to visit and get to know the plants there, but it's also a workplace for more than 300 scientists supporting the development of botany. Personally speaking, the best part of the garden is the iconic Palm House. In the sophisticated glass house, there is a diversity of tropical plants such as palms, cocoa trees, coffee trees, etc. Of course, we can't miss out one of the most ancient residents there, the 243-year-old cycad, which is older than the United States. We had several study sessions there. What amazed me the most is the adaptability and vitality of the plants. From the carnivore predating insects, the epiphytes growing up high to maximize the amount of sunlight obtained in dense shaded tropical forest, the lotus effect to the leaves with purple backs to reflect light. It all shows us how adaptive and powerful the plants are that they can survive through extreme conditions such as heat and drought. From the wide variety of collections in the glasshouse, it also reminds me that the earth originally is the home of plants. Sadly, after several civilizations, some of them are endangered, or worse, extinct. Despite the practical uses of plants as medicine and herbs, we should not take them for granted. Still, I'm glad to learn about the herbarium, storing seeds of plants that may become extinct in the coming future. Though we cannot travel back to the past and save the vanished species, we can still try our best to protect the ones in front of us through scientific study, technology, and, most importantly, education. Scientists can't work alone to preserve these beautiful plants without the public awareness towards conservation. Throwing back to the trip, the first few things that we might recall from it might be the 100% grass and yarrow in field study section. Anyway, Kew Gardens is always a wonderful place to revisit again and learn about the plants that we probably missed at this time.
The next day we went to the Science Museum. The first activity was a guided tour. The tour started off with the introduction to steam engines, which are the driving force behind British industry for 300 years. Then we looked at space and rocket displays. The most fascinating section is the Making the Modern World gallery, where the oldest mechanical clock and Apollo 10, which came back from space, were on display. We also passed through Superbug exhibition, where we learned about the consequences of overusing antibiotics. Next, we have a bit more than 30 minutes to scan through the whole museum. That was intense. We ran quite a lot, but still got to look at a number of remarkable exhibits. After lunch, a staff gave a lecture on the importance of science capital and the efforts they spent on polishing their science communication skills. They would use different games to attract children, and we played one of them. They also set up an audience research team to ensure that knowledge can be transferred to visitors most effectively. We then watched the film, A Beautiful Planet. We looked into the lives of astronauts in the International Space Station and explored our beautiful Earth from there. Lastly, we as 17 years olds enjoyed ourselves in the Wonder Lab, which is specially made for children below 14. There are different games to allow children explore science and be inspired. The corner I remembered most is where children can learn the concept of friction after sliding down 3 slides of different surfaces. We also watched a show in which the staff used different experiments and props to explain Newton's laws of motion.
On the 5th day, we went to the Natural History Museum. Walking in, I was blown away by the size of the museum. I was overwhelmed by the variety of exhibits that were available for us to visit. Throughout the day, I was constantly amazed by how much information can be extracted from tiny fossils and bones, and the stories that can be told from them. I was especially impressed by the dinosaur exhibition, where life-size and animated dinosaurs are displayed. Although there is still a lot of information that we don't know about dinosaurs, like how they became extinct, it blows my mind that scientists can figure out the appearance and lifestyle of a creature that lived years and years before us. Though some of the questions we have about them may remain forever unanswered, the amount of information we have about them already is astounding. Throughout the trip, the importance of science communication was emphasized. In the Natural History Museum, I could see how the exhibits were displayed in a way such that every visitor, no matter their age or knowledge, is engaged. In the Life in the Dark exhibition, I learned how different animals are adapted to their environment through interactive displays. I saw how fish in the deep sea use bioluminescence to attract prey and mates, heard bats using echolocation, smelt the food of different animals, and felt the whiskers of a rat. For me, this way of presenting information is much more effective than any display board and much more interesting. In the afternoon, we had the chance to apply the skills we had observed to our own 2-minute presentations. Something I had learned through these few days is that presentations are a two-way channel. In order to properly communicate your ideas, you have to engage your audience. This can be in the form of questions, humor, props, analogies, and more. These are skills I can utilize in my daily life. The Natural History Museum has really shown me how vast and extraordinary our Earth is, and how many stories can be told from each animal and object. There are still a lot of exhibits I want to visit and didn't get a chance to see this time, like the insect exhibit, and I hope I'll have the chance to visit the museum again. Overall, this tour was an amazing experience for me. I had the opportunity to visit different museums and do field studies, which is something I haven't had a chance to do before. The field tour at Kew Gardens allowed me to apply my textbook knowledge to use. I had learned about quadrats for exams, but the experience taught me that using it for real is so much more different. This tour has really enriched my scientific knowledge and inspired me to continue to pursue a path in science.